In the mood for something sweet and fluffy with just the right amount of slow burn and lots of good angst, well then you gotta give a shot to Best Friends to Lovers stories. Now these can be their own romance plot or they can be part of a subplot in a larger setting, but there are several iterations to them because these stories have been done to death. Off the top of my head, three of my favorite ways you can write Best Friends to Lovers is what we call in AO3 terms idiots in love and mutual pining, where there are two best friends, let's name them character A and character B, who are head over heels in love with one another but will not say it for some reason, usually because they think it will destroy their friendship. Then there is the Taylor Swift song, You Belong With Me? Yes, that's the one, You Belong With Me, in which there is the overlooked best friend who the protagonist often ignores as a love interest until one day they realize, hey, my best friend's actually pretty awesome and I'm in love with them. I was also named after a movie in which this trope existed. And the third one is when two people meet, they become best friends because obviously they have to be best friends for the trope to be best friends to lovers and not friends to lovers, and eventually gradually fall in love, which is my top tier version of best friends to lovers. Now, when I'm writing best friends to lovers, I tend to instinctively default to a structure that I learned in class, and that's what I'm going to share with you all today. Remember how I said my favorite best friends to lovers stories are the ones in which they meet and then fall in love? Well, that's how most best friends to lovers, actually correct that, most romances start the first meeting. Now it can be a meet cute or a meet ugly, but if it's a best friends to lovers stories, it's most likely going to be a meet cute. Though you can have them have a meet ugly and then turn it around and actually become friends. However, if you're writing a childhood best friends to lovers or a best friends to lovers story in which they have known each other for a long time, you might skip showing the first meeting and instead show a random day between them, or random day in their lives rather, where you can show the readers their dynamic. This is where you introduce these characters as best friends, show how in tune with each other they are. Going back to the example of Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, we see a regular day in college with Rahul and Anjali. We see them playing basketball, we see them singing and dancing. Or if you want to write a best friends to lovers where they meet and fall in love over time, then look at Percy and Annabeth, right? We meet them in the first book where they have just had their first meeting. They go on several quests together over the course of so many books. And over the course of those quests, we can slowly see them developing feelings for each other. But your first meeting is where your romance starts. This is where character A and character B meet and start falling in love. Now, usually this is the second stage in a romance where your characters are getting to know each other and your readers are getting to know their dynamic. But in a best friends to lovers story where they've known each other for a long time, such as a childhood best friends to lovers, this would be your starting stage if you're not showing the first meeting. And this stage is extremely important because this is how the readers learn of their dynamic. This is where you foreshadow how they are going to eventually fall in love, what actually works between the two of them. Also, the thing is, if you're planning a very long-term project, like say Percy and Annabeth were, you don't have to start this foreshadowing in the very first book itself. You can show them having cute, friendly moments, right? Show their friendship. Or you can actually do another thing, which is what was done with Ron and Hermione. That is, you can show them starting out as two people who did not quite get along, but you have to turn it around into friendship real fast and real strong to ensure that you are not accidentally writing a rivals to lovers. And this takes us on to the next stage, which is obviously the budding friendship, which slowly blossoms into love. This next stage, which I usually call falling in love, is actually just an extension of the getting to know each other stage. But here the romantic overtones or subtones are really strong, right? The subtext is romantic. So for example, in Percy and Annabeth, this starts when Annabeth starts getting jealous of Rachel, right? You can see the romance building. They are falling in love. The readers are starting to root for them, and you can go down many a route. One friend has started feelings earlier. One friend is still in the friendship stage. They're still getting to know each other, but now there is romance in the air. But you have to show your readers that they are falling in love. Remember, if your characters have to kiss for your readers to realize that they are a romantic pairing, your romance needs work. You know how all stories have this huge conflict which can be external or internal? In romance stories, this conflict is usually what's stopping the romance from getting fulfilled, let's say. And one way you can show this conflict in a romance is through denial of attraction and feelings. In fact, that is actually sometimes a very concrete stage in many romances, right? And in Best Friends to Lovers, it's actually a especially important stage half the time, because this is where the angst and the slow burn come in, right? So you can go down many routes with this. The best friends, let's name them character A and character B again. So it could be that they are having trouble labeling the feelings, right? You already love this person. Now suddenly you're feeling a different kind of love and you're confused what's happening. Or character A has realized their feelings, but they think they're not good enough for character B. Character B is already in a relationship with someone and they want to respect that. They think character B might not feel the same way, or they are scared, as I mentioned in the introduction, of jeopardizing their friendship by starting a romance, and therefore they are denying their feelings, or they are just too shy to admit it, or they feel like by admitting it they're betraying their friendship. There are various ways you can go, but the crux of this stage is that they are denying their attraction, they're denying their feelings. And it can be both characters doing it, which would lead us to an idiots in love and mutual pining thing, or it could be just our protagonist doing it. Or it could be the love interest doing it, which we can show through very awkward interactions with the protagonist, where the protagonist is constantly wondering, like, bro, what's happening with you? Why are you acting so? And that's it. That's how you build up the pressure, right? The slow burn has to come to an end eventually. The angst has to be resolved one way or the other, which happens with a confession of love. Character A goes up to character B and says they are in love with them. Now, this can be a big kiss moment where both characters confess their feelings, kiss, and ride off into the sunset. Or it can be a heartbreak moment where character A is tragically turned down by character B. The confession of love has to happen. Now, you can end your story here, or you can take it further by introducing internal or external conflict. Maybe the internal conflict is that they don't know how to act as a romantic pairing. Or maybe they're very different as a romantic pairing than they were as friends, which is causing friction. Or the external conflict could be that the world they live in is not very happy with that romance. Or, like in Percy Jackson, the external pairing could be something completely different. Percy and Annabeth got together at the end of Percy Jackson, but then, spoiler alert for Heroes of Olympus series, which came out like years ago, but still, Percy got kidnapped by Hera. So, this was a conflict. So, you can continue your story further by introducing conflict after the stage of confession of love, but confession of love has to happen. And after the confession of love and the conflict stages, if you want to continue the story beyond the confession of love, you have to end your story. There has to be a resolution. The characters can either decide they don't work together, which would be a tragic ending, a heartbreak. One of the characters could die, or they could just kiss and live happily ever after and be in a Disney movie. Like, for example, in Friends, Monica and Chandler, right? But we did get to see, after the big kiss, confession of love, and the conflict and the marriage plot lines, which is when they started a family together. So you can show a little bit of their life after the romance and show how they're actually working wonderfully as a couple, and that could be a resolution. But this is essentially how you structure, or rather how I structure, a best friends to lovers plot. And there are no really popular scenes, in my opinion, in this trope, like a dagger to the throat scene, which you would find in an enemies to lovers plot. But there are a lot of softer, sweeter, small scenes where the characters are caring for each other, saving each other, talking to each other, and just genuinely being fun together. And off the top of my head, the pairings I can think of which have this is Ron and Hermione, Percy and Annabeth, Monica and Chandler, though they are more friends to lovers than best friends to lovers. And yeah, I love this trope. Let me know which trope you love in the comments. Oh, and if you want all of this information along the lines of something like a planner to write best friends to lover romances, I will be releasing one next week with my publishing house, Mirror Saga. So stay tuned for that and do check out our website.